But I remember when I was closely monitoring.
Were you a Modibela Tlopo yourself?
No, I wasn't. I'm not really.
Okay.
I wasn't. I'm not a UDC
Yeah.
voter.
But you sympathized.
Yes.
Or you empathized. You understood.
I analyzed what was going on.
Okay.
I was there at 2 a.m. As they were taking the ballots to where they were going to be counted. I was actually so go na le di-rumora tsa gore go ne go timiwa metakase across the country as an effort tsa gore go regiwe di-elections. So,
So that didn't work though.
Actually.
Is there a sense in which their philosophies, these two presidents, MEK and Duma Boko, they overlap or they're similar in their outlook?
I think during the campaigns they were different. But when you get into power, you find an office.
Yeah, but I'm asking you about similarities.
Similarities?
Are there any, in their outlook?
Yes, there are similarities, and I'll tell you why. Masisi was advocating for things. He was talking about technology. He was talking about the fourth industrial revolution. He was talking about empowering the youth through. He was talking about infrastructure development. He was talking about a lot of things that are...
And mindset change.
So he was talking... And it fell on his... with the elections.
In what sense?
Because he lost the elections. People changed their minds finally.
Yeah. So they took him too literally.
They took him seriously when he talked about mindset change, I guess.
This is Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We enthuse, we energize, we inspire, and we empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes in BW and beyond.
Hello, Dumelang, and welcome to another great episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I'm very, very happy to welcome you to this first one of 2025. It's indeed a thrill and a joy, and in a sense, I missed you guys quite a bit because I've been traveling far and wide, but I'm back and I'm with yet another powerful entrepreneur. A little bit of housekeeping as always. I have a book, Bagaitsu. It's called Nuggets of Grit. Most of you are familiar with it. Only retails for 350 pula. And my guest will also be talking about his book. It's there on display. Duma Gideon Boko, Pioneering the African Renaissance. Kitso Speaks. He's going to talk about all that. But for now, let me just ask you to strike that notification bell and that subscribe button because we need your support, guys. You'd be surprised how many of you watch us without ever hitting that button, and it's quite challenging for us in terms of ability to grow, in terms of dealing with these algorithms. So please strike the subscribe button. Let me welcome my guest. My guest is Kitso Motlhabane. And Mr. Motlhabane, welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here today, Mr. Mogobe. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. This is our 6th year now that we've been doing this program.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you've decided to be part of our story and our growth.
Great.
Can you give the viewer your background, the academic side, and so on?
Yes. My name is Kitso Motlhabane. That's my birth name. And Kitso Speaks is my pen name. I'm a digital entrepreneur and a transformational speaker. I hail from Serowe village. Yes. Kemokala kwako Serowe.
Okay.
Yes. So I studied computer systems engineering at Botswana Accountancy College. And then I've never actually looked for a job at any day. I immediately jumped into entrepreneurship. And during those times of COVID, there were ups and downs with the businesses that we were curating that time. So in my line of work, I'm doing digital strategies for corporates, for companies. I'm doing digital strategies for other entrepreneurs. I'm doing websites. I'm designing applications because I'm skilled in computer programming. Yes. And I'm also an author today I'm here wearing the hat of an author. I've authored a book titled Duma Boko, Pioneer in the African Renaissance. And this book was actually penned down on the 2nd of November, just this past year. And it was released on the 8th of November,
Wow.
2024. So within 6 days, it was written, published, and printed. And I started doing a lot of reviews at that time and getting it to the president himself. Yes. So it's not my first book. There's another book that I wrote, hence why I called myself a presidential biographer. I started with a project, a book called Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi. It's called MEK Masisi, Creed of the Phoenix, by Kitso Speaks. So,
Where is that one?
yes, the book is there. It's just that we are redoing it. We are doing an interview with him at the end of the month to include what went wrong with the elections.
Oh, I see you're updating it, as it were.
Yes, we are updating it.
Okay.
Because this kind of books, when you are talking about high-profile people, you come up with the information, and you have to come back and add more information, sit down with them, and review the information that you put in there. It's a work in progress.
What actually is a digital entrepreneur? What do you actually do?
Yeah, digital entrepreneurship. I'm talking about somebody who, this is a clicking generation. So I've tapped into the digital market, into this, I'm in this space where I do strategies for companies. Or, okay, you guys could actually monetize your time online. You can monetize digital platforms. You can monetize social media. I always see other entrepreneurs, like maybe they're influencers, they tend to post on Facebook saying, come and advertise on my page. So I have a more presentable way of packaging people digitally with creating beautiful websites for them,
But I was told websites are so past century, they're so out of date. I read somewhere that nobody takes websites seriously anymore in this age where you can access people directly, via their other pages.
Yes, I don't. For my market, Mr. Mogobe, they need websites because people need to package themselves well, and other entrepreneurs who actually need services. I'm sure other entrepreneurs like you, you'd like to buy from somebody who actually packages themselves well. So I think the issue is the traffic. That's why somebody would actually come out and say websites are not working or they're outdated, because there isn't a lot of traffic on the websites. So I also help companies drive traffic to the websites using this other social media.
Search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization and other means also. The kind of content that you put out there actually matters. So I guide my clients in terms of how they can curate the right content and not just post.
For growth and for monetization.
For monetization and for other people to take them seriously. Yes.
All right. I want us to talk about the book now.
Yes.
What inspired it? And perhaps maybe before we talk about this particular book, what made you to decide to become a presidential biographer?
Yes. I'm a storyteller. I'm a blogger. I like to say I'm a storyteller. I've been writing for a couple of years now, but without an audience. I was just writing I started writing my opinion on social media. Started writing. I have a blog where I started writing on my blog.
It's called
Kitso Speaks International. So I write about any issues that come to my mind. I can be sitting drinking tea and thinking about something, and I pen it down. I write about it in a very articulate manner that people can actually resonate with it. I ask questions that people don't like to ask. Yes. So what inspired this book, it's not only the historic elections, it's at 2024. So what happens is I was writing about the issue, the pioneering the African Renaissance, the African Renaissance itself, the concept of the African Renaissance as popularized by the Thabo Mbeki,
The former
president of South Africa. You know, he was talking quite, some insightful things about the African Renaissance. Now, when Duma Boko came in that very night, when he became president, that historic moment fell into his laps, I had to start writing that very night. Yes.
On the second.
And
When did we know? We knew for sure on the second,
on
right?
the second. So I now had to put him on the concept that I had already written about, which is the African Renaissance. And now putting Botswana at the center of this whole.
You say that with his work, Kitso has emerged as a leading voice in educational reform and technological development, convinced that arming the minds of young people with the right tools is the way to set Africa free. That's a very big and laudable objective, or rather broad vision that you have.
Yes.
Take us through how it then manifested in presidential biographies.
Yes. I first engaged with STEM education when I met a gentleman called Hansel Williams from South Africa. We met at Debswana. One time I was invited to DCC, Debswana Corporate Center. There was a training around 2016.
Yeah.
There was a training going on. They wanted to introduce STEM education to Debswana schools. So that is when, because I'm somebody with a background of ICT and computing, they got me into a training, and I got to train and ended up becoming a trainer myself and excelling at it.
Yes.
So they engaged me in a project where I was training in all the Debswana schools across the country. We trained at Joaneng with Mamwepi. Then from 2016, 2017, we trained also at Orapa in all the Debswana schools. So, Duma Boko is somebody who talks about ICT, and I'm an advocate of STEM education generally. That the next generation of jobs, how do the next generation of jobs look like?
Yeah.
As we are, like I said, we are in the clicking generation.
Yes.
Everyone has a smartphone.
Always
We're
clicking, yes.
talking AI or talking everything, the ICT. So I'm an advocate of that, and I've seen him talking about the fourth industrial revolution and how that is close to his heart, especially the times when he was donating books at Southeast District schools in Gaborone, when he started that initiative and trying to also encourage them to be focused on STEM education. So that is sort of also been pushing me in terms of saying, okay, since I'm an advocate of STEM education, I also have some other things that I'm writing about. Why don't I now, pen this down? And because also I focus on on leadership.
Yes.
That's when I started engaging with the Creed of the Phoenix, MEK Masisi Creed of the Phoenix, writing that book and talking about where Masisi fitted in terms of technology and and then now we have a president who resonates more with that, because he has big dreams for Botswana, and education is part of something that is actually
is there a sense in which their philosophies, these two presidents, MEK and Duma Boko, they overlap or they're similar in their outlook?
I think during the campaigns they were different, but when you get into power, you find an office.
Yeah, but I'm asking you about similarities.
Similarities.
Are there any, in their outlook?
Yes, there are similarities, and I'll tell you why. Masisi was advocating for things. He was talking about technology. He was talking about the fourth industrial revolution. He was talking about empowering the youth through, he was talking about infrastructure development. He was talking about a lot of things that are
And mindset change.
and mindset change. So he was talking, and it fell on his
Yeah.
with the elections,
In what sense?
because he lost elections. People changed their minds finally.
Yeah. So they took him too literally.
They took him seriously when he talked about mindset change, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it.
Yes. So with my CC, people were complaining that he wasn't implementing. But, you know, at the core of his presidency, that his principles were quite similar to that of Duma Boko. Even though Duma Boko is more focused on human rights and, you know, people having the right to be employed, rights to, yes.
Now let's talk about the historic election itself, because there are those who have made comments like there's a thing called Zimbabwe style rigging machine.
Yes.
Whether or not there's such a thing, we don't know. But what are your views on that and around the historic election itself? How we're able to overcome so-called rigging machine? Because previously, even BNF, long before UDC came into existence, used to complain about rigging, but they never used to win in court.
Yes. I will not say a lot of information and put it out there and say this is accurate information. In terms of most of the information that I have on the Zimbabwean style rigging machine, it's my opinion, or it's something that I've analyzed because some Botswana, they saw for the first time the ballot box ka the chain. For the first time in our elections, there were rumors. We saw rumors of Zimbabwean interference, and they do not. Those rumors, they did not just imagine Botswana. They are in other countries. I know, like where there is smoke, there is fire. So I was talking, you know, as some of the strategies that Duma Boko utilized in terms of how he won these elections is combating this Zimbabwean style rigging machine through the emergence of Madibela Trop. He did formulate the Madibela Trop, and Madibela Trop did fight the whole idea of rigging.
Tell me how the whole thing of Madibela Trop worked, and who are these people?
Yes. Madibela Trop is a group, it was highly criticized by the previous regime, where they are coming in to fight or coming in with violence. But what they were doing is they were closely monitoring the elections.
How?
Protecting the electorate. They protect the integrity of the elections by actually, because the current government, they complain of the UDC. Go na le di rumara tsa gore Zimbabweans are voting, Zimbabweans ba irela di ID. So they were highlighting this on their social media. They were highlighting any errors, you know, putting other Botswana aware gore ba lebelle ka leitlho le leng tshosho. And go lebelwa ka leitlho le leng tshosho go ira gore le wena ha ile gore nona le sengwe, you had ideas, you may put it aside quickly. But otherwise, you know, in history harna any because this thing was tested in the courts, and maybe the rigging was done meticulously. I'm not saying that is.
Was it done or it wasn't done?
It wasn't done. I'm saying maybe it was meticulous. They were meticulous. Maybe
if it was done so meticulously that the evidence was hidden.
Was obviously because you know you're a party that is sitting in power. You have so many resources. You can make things happen. So that's why I'm saying we can never be sure. But there were rumors, and we cannot ignore these rumors. So as a writer, I have to tell this story that we saw for the first time in our elections in the country. Following these rumors, we saw Madibela Trop closely monitoring these elections. Yes, that's
how does one become Madibela Trop? How were they selected?
Well, they were trained. They were just ordinary Botswana who were trained, ordinary voters.
Trained where?
There were trainings. UDC actually conducted trainings in different areas and Kotlas, trainings where they were training.
Showing them how to...
Yes, how to have the bulldog tenacity. Yes, and
Or the bulldog tenacity.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Is there a particular thing that these Madibala Topo did during the course of the elections in October? What did they physically do? Because me, I haven't seen anything or heard anything.
what I saw, what I saw with my own eyes, because they were putting chains on the ballot boxes. They actually went to court. VDC went to court and asked the courts authority to lock the ballot boxes to ensure the integrity of these elections. And they were active on social media, warning people that, look, there's a rumor there that there might be these efforts to rig elections. So those things di kgonne go tima mello ya gore re kgone go utwa ka moso go tenyame go heletse go ya ka what we saw in the 2019 elections when Salakaya was coming from Khansi chasing a truck full of ballots because probably no sana opona lebeletse closely to be
And
sure.
they were not locked.
Yes, but this time now, we can be sure gore okay le kolo is atene ba di setse morago closely. But there is a petrol about. But I remember when I was closely monitoring.
Were you a Madibala Topo yourself?
No, I wasn't. I'm not really.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a UDC
Yeah.
voter.
But you sympathized.
Yes.
Or you empathized. You understood.
I analyzed what was going on.
Okay.
I was there at 2 a.m. As they were taking the ballots to where they were going to be counted. I was actually
Yeah.
so go na le di rumors tsa gore go ne go timiwa metakase across the country as an effort tsa gore go rigwe di elections. So
So that didn't work though.
If there was an intention to rig elections, it wasn't successful. It wasn't successful, and it couldn't have been successful this time.
Okay.
Because everything was out in the open. Like I keep referring to this generation as a clicking generation. We warn each other.
Yeah.
Watch out, watch out, something is going on that side. There's a man who's wearing this
Such and such a shirt.
Yes,
He looks
suspicious. Yes, so we are policing each other. Hence policing.
And the other one would then go and ask that man, what are you doing here?
What are you doing? Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but ultimately the UDC won, I believe, 37%, and BDP, if I'm not mistaken, 32%. So, in terms of percentages, the difference is not large between UDC and BDP, and yet on the ground, in terms of the actual seats, there's a vast difference. One gets 37 seats and the other gets 4. How do you explain that?
It's the first past the post system. It's unfair sometimes to certain people. It's one of the things that we inherited from colonization.
Yeah.
Yes. So, even though BDP has a large number of voters who voted for it, the first part past the post actually is looking for those who have the largest number of seats.
So as long as you have 50 plus 1 or whatever number, one ahead of the other.
Yes,
win
majority wins.
Majority wins.
So there's another issue. People are saying there might be a coalition government. There's nothing like coalition with first past the post.
Yeah.
It's always the majority. Then we'll meet in parliament.
Yeah.
And convince convince people to vote in our favor. Yes.
So for many, many years, the opposition was asking the BDP to adopt a different system, maybe proportional representation, to get away from first past the post. Do you believe they are now regretting why they didn't listen to the opposition, why they didn't adopt a new system, a different system?
Yes, I'm not sure if they are regretting that particularly, because there are a lot of things they are regretting for sure. But I think, this system has... There's a lot of things that the opposition asked the BDP to change, and that have affected them. They've been punished harshly for the things that they didn't change while they were in power, because they thought that
they'll be there forever.
They will be there forever.
You know the expression that Domiki Rona le bana ba rona,
yes,
and that will only relinquish power the day donkey Meladinak.
Yeah, but things have changed now.
And
If you have a
I
conversation,
don't think there's a donkey that has any horns
No.
yet. Yeah.
yeah.
So that they used to say they will only change power when a donkey develops horns.
Oh,
Yeah. But that never happened.
yeah.
But there's a part in the book where you talk about First Lady Kaone Boko. What do you have to share on that one?
Yes. There's little information that surfaced when I was doing research on the First Lady Kaone Boko. But Kaone Boko is a lawyer, and you know, with this current government, what I did as I was analyzing her, she's going to be focused on human rights, as her husband is going to be focused on human rights. I can be confident to say that because, you know, she, unlike the previous first lady, and then what will be close to her heart will be the marginalization of the disabled groups, and you know, she would be advocating for human rights more, because that's the direction where Duma Boko as much as Mogai has his own direction with HIV and AIDS.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ian Kama has had his own direction. Yes.
With conservation.
With conservation and tourism and that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kaone Boko is going to align with her husband's mandate and adopt these groups that talk about, that advocate for human rights.
Did you get to interview either of them for the book?
I didn't get the time to do that. I didn't get the time to do that. The good thing is that, you know, in Botswana, when you are doing something like this, you don't get anyone listening to you, or you don't get any attention with the office of the president until you command it. So what I did was I had to get the book there. So I've only gotten the opportunity to do a holistic interview. We are going to be launching next month, so we're going to have a holistic interview. But the book was vetted with office of the president. It was taken to, the president has had time to look at the book.
Yeah. You said something very interesting philosophically, where you say in Botswana, unless you command the attention, you'll never get it. Explain to the viewer, explain to those who don't know that skill. How do you command attention?
Yes. You know, I wrote this book and no one was going to take me seriously. I mean, I penned down a book in 6 days. It's commendable, it's nice. But no one knows me. No one knew me. So I had to get it out there. I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I go to OP, a week later they tell me, I call, I find out my book has been shelved. Somebody put it in the shelf. I can't mention names. But I had to now ask myself, okay, what is going on? I'm going around in circles that are taking me to that one, because I have to go through the process, right? For it to arrive at the president, or for the president to even know that the book exists. So what I did was, I went to OP, I made sure that I meet the right person who's going to get my book to the president. And another thing that I did, which is crazy, is that I'm in partnership with Masiela Trust Fund. So I told Masiela Trust Fund that I'm going to launch this book with you, and I'm going to take the funds that we're going to make at the launch and empower you with this. So they told me that they want to engage Kaone Boko as their patron, as their new patron.
Yeah.
So what I did was, okay, this is an opportunity for me now to push for the book to arrive as quickly as it can. So I took the book to Masiela to say, let's take the book to Kaone Boko. And she received the book. And, you know, that's part of my efforts to get it there, because OP, they were giving me a run around to say, you have a privilege, you know, the actual words.
Yeah.
Yes. And they were saying, why do you think you have a privilege? But who are you? Who do you think you are to write a book about our president?
Yeah.
So I had to explain myself 1,000 times until my book finally got there. And I talked to the media. I went to the media, I talked about my experience as a writer. As I go to this office, I write also, I blog about it. Went on social media to a level where now the book has went viral. Yes. So I would,
Viral in what sense?
it's everywhere now. It's on social media. At BTV, they didn't want to give me an interview at first because they wanted a go-ahead from OP. So one thing that I did was I went to see the director of BTV and I was asking him, why does it look like untima opportunity ya gore ke tsene mo screening ke ke bua ka bukana ke le Motswana as an entrepreneur,
And his answer?
and he was saying, writing about the president is controversial. People don't give you a chance unless they really understand. And I had to explain to him, and why did I write this? For you to write about the president, you have to sit down with him.
Yeah.
So, I commanded that attention. I got it. And the book is doing really, really, really well. And I'm impressed so far at the pace at which
It's a bestseller now, right?
Yes, definitely.
It's over 1,000 sold.
1,826 copies.
Wow.
That I've sold.
Yeah.
And I've sold it by That's how I've sold it.
That's the best way. That's the best way to sell.
I tell people the story. I meet people, I tell them, look, I've written a book about your president. And
there's a phenomenon known as choke and release strategy. First, I want you to explain the phenomenon and then tell me how it applies, especially when we're dealing with the issue of diamonds, the issue of the economy, and how the economy was struggling and allegedly no longer is. Allegedly.
As a blogger, as a writer, I'm entitled to an opinion or to analyze things. And there's what we call a choke and release strategy. It is a strategy that big corporations in America, they use it when they are close to negotiations to try and get something in their favor. So there are rumors that is what happened here in Botswana. With DBS, all of a sudden there was propaganda against the former president, Masisi. Now President Boko came into power, so we suspect. I'm saying we suspect because I'm a writer. I suspect or DBS had something to do with relieving Masisi of his duties.
But why? Why is that in their interest?
Because they were in the stage of negotiating and Masisi actually wanted them to pay tax. Masisi wanted them to pay tax.
What's wrong with that?
They owed Botswana billions of pulas in tax that accumulated over years that they haven't been paying. So when they came to the negotiating table, Masisi was asking, and they felt probably that Masisi was asking for too much. So they had to do, as an entrepreneur, Mr. Mogobe, if you are negotiating with someone, you try and get some leverage. You try and get some leverage. How can you strategy? So I don't think DBS was just sleepy and saying, Masisi, he got what he wanted. That's it. We're going to give them what they wanted. I think they also wanted him out of power. Hence, that whole propaganda that really affected him also. And they choked the economy. Botswana started feeling it. Where the diamonds, DBS is in control of the prices, is in control of who buys our diamonds. I mean, they cannot tell us that the diamond had when other countries the diamond is when it Remember, it's a big company. It's a company that's in different countries. So I think choke and released was used in Botswana.
So they choked and now they have released.
They have released. Now we are doing well.
Yeah,
because they have a president.
Yeah, but on the issue of doing well, we're still not getting the allowances raised. We're still not getting Bohudi. We're still not getting. I've just turned 60. I'm not getting my 1.8. For instance, a lot of the promises that were made are not being delivered. They are fulfilled.
There's a difference. I wrote about this, and I mentioned that there's a difference between campaign promises and implementation.
Yes.
When you come to a woman and tell her you'll do this, I'll buy you a car, you can lose your job. Your company can go bankrupt. while you still have those intentions. So it was easy. Tota, it's something that happens everywhere. It's easy to talk about the promises. But, you know, I was thinking about this the other day and saying, you know, I want to sit down with the president and ask him, you know, it's time for you to come and sit down with Botswana and explain to them that, you know what, I was campaigning. I was campaigning. I will not be able to do everything that I said I will do
at once.
It's acceptable, but over time, because 5 years is not enough to prove yourself. And he should be, you know, right now, what I got from his office is that he doesn't sleep. He's working overtime. So I want him to be comfortable also. I want him to know that, of course, Batswana ba bata se ba se batang, but he needs to talk to them and tell them the truth. Batswana ba bata nnete. One thing that the previous regime failed to do is go bua nnete. When I was listening to foreign news the day after elections, why did Masisi lose? They used the word maka. They said,
Oh.
yes, they associated him with that word, that he would say this and then come back and say something else. So I love President Boko, and I would love to see him prosper.
Is there a risk that people may interpret his promises as maga as well in the long run?
Yes, there's already, you know, a lot of the electorate ke banana. Ke batho ba e leng gore, you know what is happening, there's a seismic shift in the continent. It's not like ha go tsentswe Duma boko yana as the president. Ha ka neelwa 5 years le. So they started interpreting that. If you can read the room, you can understand that. Because there's an opinion na gore bangwe ba re togela boko a buse. The same thing that was said
And
when
it's been on
Masisi was
Duma.
going.
It's been on Duma and other radio stations almost on a daily basis. People saying, some saying, no, we want our money. Others say, no, give him a chance. Give him a
Yes,
chance.
but it was the same thing that was said when Masisi got into power. You remember the slogan?
Yes.
It was the same thing that was said. So now I don't want us to be comfortable. Respectfully, I don't want him to be comfortable in the seat.
Okay. That's what people want to learn from you, to understand whether this choke and release strategy, if it did occur, whether net it worked for us or not. Was it an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think it worked for us because now as a youth, I think the whole country was looking for a change. We were afraid of change. So I know it was there. I mean, the choke and release strategy.
If it was there.
If it was there.
So you're saying this, the symptoms are there, but you're not sure whether these symptoms mean what you think they mean.
Yes.
But if they
it's my own analysis.
Yes.
Because like I said, I'm a writer. It's my own analysis. I think DBS had something to do with this. So, because now we have a new government, we have a historic moment. Botswana is now visible to the world. That, you know, this thing has put us on the map in a way. It has sold us as a country to say we are experiencing a rebirth. The rebirth that was talked about, Thabo Mbeki.
Okay.
A renewal of Africa.
You in the book you talk about 3 countries: Finland, Rwanda, and Singapore. What are you saying about these 3 countries in the context of this renaissance or renaissance?
Yeah. You know, we have seen how change happened in these countries. But with Finland, I think I noted how the education system is the best in the world. I was talking more about how the education system is the best in the world. I'm not sure.
What do they do? STEM?
Yes. They are really focused on STEM education and practical learning. Not this, you know, classroom setup. Those Setswana things from the past that are not actually significant.
Oh, but traditions are significant. What are you suggesting? Our poetry, our traditions, our proverbs, aren't they important?
No, our proverbs are important. But one of the books say, if you read the Khogomodumo story, it's not. It's about history, of course, but it shouldn't be something that we hear every day in class unlike in China where they are teaching their kids about construction, baloko school, baloko primary, and that's why they are leading in those sectors. The revolutionization of the education system is something that Duma Boko is advocating for.
So Finland, are they going back to those ideas, Van Rensburg's education from production, where he was teaching people
to be production ready?
To be production ready. Are we going back there?
Yes, definitely. That's where the world is going, actually.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea, when they started this whole STEM idea, the idea of STEM education came from the fact that we don't want, this traditional classroom learning. We want something that's practical, something that can create something to improve creativity in our kids.
But you're a teacher yourself. You teach at these Debsona schools. What is that one important lesson or series of lessons that you share, that you say are consistent with this STEM education and the Finland model and so on?
Yes. I think one thing that I've noticed while teaching, because I've also engaged with government schools at workshop level where I was training teachers at their workshops within government under the Ministry of Basic Education. What I think is that we talk too much. We think too much. We don't implement. We talk about the idea. We teach, like a few years back, Botswana sent out principal education officers to Israel to go and benchmark on how the education system is doing in Israel. So when they came back, they got promoted and new departments were set up. We do our principal education officer in education, in technology, because they were trying to bring technology into schools. Every school received 40 tablets in government schools. They received 40 tablets. They started benchmarking with, remote schools across the country. But if you go to those schools today, you'll find those tablets boxed. Find them gathering dust.
They've never been used.
Some of the schools, they don't use them because there's no one who knows how to operate any of those things. But we have young people here who have studied IT who don't have jobs. But one time I was in Tati and I went to do voluntary work there to train teachers at Tati primary school. So when I go to Tati, I find that the whole lab is not being used. They have a computer lab, they have computers. And I ask, what's the problem? They are saying that the computers are not connected to the server. So I'm like, okay, why don't you separate those computers and make them standalone computers? And I'm asking them, where's your IT person? It's like there's only one IT person and he works for the whole region. So he'll only come after a couple of months to come and probably help us get back, be able to use the computers and stuff. We have the resources. We can't say government has the resources. From primary level, I'm telling you that there are tablets in schools. I know this.
Which are not being used.
They are locked in cabinets. Even the chargers, they were bought with a lot of money. But they are not being used. They are outdated even.
So the problem is that people went to benchmark, they were promoted, they were not involved in the implementation of the ideas they got from Israel.
Yes. There are people from the private sector who wanted to say, want to work with the government. But there's been a lot of red tape with the government. The government would say, bring this, do this. So I know a lot of young entrepreneurs who wanted at those times because le nane ke le ho ke ntse ke taka di idea gore no government o ka ira go improve STEM education mo Botswana. I was one of the people who were in that conversation to say this is what we can do to improve STEM education in this country. Since we have the resources, we've trained people, went to Bajimak, but they're sitting on their knowledge. And we have young people. It's terrible. So now I think with the new government, They work in an agile manner. They are quick.
Is
quick
it?
on their feet. That's what, things have changed. They
respond to complaints.
Respond quickly.
Yeah.
So the atmosphere is super change. So with this new dawn, we are seeing that okay, the tablets they will do a full recon on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You also mentioned Rwanda. Rwanda being an African country. What do you think you can learn from Rwanda, and why Rwanda?
I think what we can learn from Rwanda is implementation, like I said. If you can look at our former president, he had a lot of smart ideas. He did the right things in a way, because he went to other countries, benchmarked there, looked at what they are doing, came back and say, yes, we are going to do this in Botswana. But now the people who actually control things are the PSs in the ministries.
Yeah, the technocrats.
Yes. So now he didn't have a handle on the people who can do the implementation. So I think that's with Rwanda, that if you mess up, with Rwanda, if you mess up, you go. If you mess up, it's very strict. The situation there is strict. So I think what we could learn is the president needs to have a handle on what is happening. There should be a holistic approach to things. So an overhaul of government, an overhaul of the systems.
But now it has to happen.
It has to
So
happen.
it's just the theory.
Because there are some who believe that color, but we are still under the same. It's just yes.
What about your talk of independence from Western aid? That seems to be an issue that is appearing in your book.
Yes.
What is wrong with Western aid, and why should we divorce ourselves from it?
Yeah. I'm gonna give one example. What Western aid is doing is wrong. Look, it's good to have foreign policy, the friendly foreign policy. The thing is now they are imposing their culture on us. Like, we are a Christian country and we have certain principles. But right now we cannot shout out and say, maybe let's say, I'm not saying this is my opinion concerning things like the homosexuality thing. So I don't want to get on the bad side of anyone in the Rainbow Nation.
Yes.
What I'm saying is we are not able to become vocal about certain things because Western aid comes with
Conditions.
Western conditions, Western culture. So the Renaissance is now saying we want African culture, African ideas. We want a rebirth of Africa. So I'm placing Advocate Duma Boko, President, His Excellency, in that place. I'm putting him in that corner to say, look, he's coming in and he's going to drive towards this renaissance. Yeah, it's happening in the continent. It fell on his lap. Now he has to run with it because it also talks about now moving away from depending on the Western world.
Yeah.
Encouraging trade among Africans. Encouraging Africans to, to be self-reliant. Yes. So since Botswana has a population, but it has a voice. Botswana is a good democracy. It was recently tested.
Yes.
For the first time in history. So Botswana has a
well, we've been testing it every 5 years, and it this time it delivered a new baby, so to speak. Yeah.
Delivered a new baby.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So your point is that we don't need Western aid.
We don't need Western aid. So what I'm saying is this idea.
We have enough resources.
We have enough resources. We can.
I'm asking you this because I see what's happening in the Sahel countries. The Malis, the Burkina Fasos, even Chad and Senegal. The last 3-4 years where people are just suddenly saying they've had enough of French dominance.
Yeah.
They are not interested in the, for instance, the pact for the continuation of colonization that they signed at independence with France, where all the resources were directed to France, and control of money was France. They've had enough of that sort of control. So how does this Renaissance idea tie up with these movements that are happening in the Sahel countries?
I think the issue is now people are tired of having to be told first, no, you need to adopt this culture. Kera re bua ka yone issue ya Western influence.
Yes.
Or Western culture, with Western aid.
Even management of resources by Western countries.
Yes, definitely. Where now you are told, like, mo Botswana, ditema tsa lona di ka le di rekisa yana. You cannot sell them this way. I'm not saying it will come today because we have a new government where we will see us being able to
control our resources.
To control our resources, the Sahel countries, where now we are quickly moving in that direction. No, it won't happen like that because Botswana is a landlocked country.
Because the French situation was very bad, was extreme.
Yes,
where they choked all these economies and controlled them ruthlessly, whereas nothing trickled down to the average person in the street. It was just the elites in control who were benefiting.
So what I'm actually saying now, Kitso Speaks, is that we are starting the conversation.
Yes.
With Boko as the president, we now have a voice. We are starting the conversation and we are moving in that direction. So that's what I'm saying. We are giving other Botswana now, other Africans now, platform. Let's start the conversation now. So I don't want to own any information. These are just my thoughts. I want to start the conversation with other Botswana to say we can move in this direction.
Yeah. So what are the challenges and the setbacks you encountered in this journey of writing a book or speaking or blogging? What are the major challenges and setbacks, and how did you overcome them?
Yes. The major challenges is, when you are doing something and people don't, you are not connected to people of influence. Like, with the previous regime, one of the things that was happening is that you had to be connected.
So people thought. Yeah.
I experienced that.
Yeah.
I tried to talk to, because with my previous book, when I was talking about President Masisi, I tried to approach, people who were actually sitting in power at the time, and they shoved me away. Like
you don't even exist.
Like I don't exist. But Kemonana, I'm building my brand, and I overcame that by continuing to pray to God that one of these days, because even my prayers has worked now. Government has changed, so things have been really difficult, especially now. Another challenge that I faced while writing was information. Limited information. This is a new government. That's why I managed to highlight a lot on the African Renaissance, because I had information prior to writing about or including President Boko in the context of the Renaissance. So the historic elections fell at my laps at the right time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Things came together at the right time.
Things came together. But how I overcame them, I want to tell you the truth, is prayer. How I overcame them is I speak. I wake up in the night and I speak.
And declare.
I declare what I want to see.
That is very effective.
Yes. Even last night as I was speaking, as I was preparing to come here and see you, I was declaring what I want to see. I wake up at 3, I start to speak. That's why my voice is
You declared that it'd be a successful interview.
It'd be a success. That whoever is listening out there, that something must happen to them. Because also I'm an entrepreneur. May they buy my book.
Yeah. That's shameless plugging and selling.
Yes.
Which is very good. Something I believe in. All right. In terms of triumphs, and if I could say highlights or just like the apex, what is the highest level of success or triumph that you've achieved through your journey?
Through my journey. I think the highest level is when I was doing my trainings at Botswana. Yes. I think I've suffered a lot as an entrepreneur. We would need another interview to talk about my entrepreneurial journey. The year before last, I was trying to open a nightclub and a liquor restaurant. and I lost more than 500,000 pula while trying to do that. In a way, I was scammed also. So I've had a lot of rough days than good days.
You spend all this money preparing, buying furniture, and then nothing
Everything,
happened.
constructing, it was just an empty hall. Yeah, it was an empty hall.
So when you tried to get the license, what happened?
The landlord of the place, gave me a difficult time. I can't say a lot of details because it's a court issue now.
It's still pending.
We're at court, but it's an emotional issue to me.
Yes.
Because I lost quite a lot of money. I had to restart, and me now continuing on and selling my book is me doing something that doesn't need for me to inject a lot of capital. Ke go itsosa ke le Motswana, and encouraging. I have a tech community, and I'm training other young people in tech, and we recently produced the first AI, the first artificial intelligence that speaks Setswana with that tech community.
Okay.
So I
How
think
does it work?
you query it, you ask anything, Dumelang, and it responds in Setswana. You talk to it, and it responds in Setswana. It just tells you anything you want to know in Setswana. So we started off building a model. So right now, what we're doing is we are feeding it Setswana, because a lot of Setswana that you find on the internet is Sepedi. It's just yes, it's going along the lines of Sepedi, Sesotho, yes. So we have to now take that model as Setswana Suneseu, because you know that this AI is based on Google files. So we are taking it now and we are training it go bua Setswana se accurate. Like when when we started, it knew that the current president is Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi. But now we have taught it. The current president is Duma advocate Duma Gideon Bok.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are training it, and we are injecting commands, we are teaching it as we go, and we are having other people testing it as well. And I believe I'll give it to you to test. I'll send you a link, and then you check it out and see what you can get from that.
That
Thanks.
sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So, but in a nutshell, I think your message is that whatever the challenges, keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
And you overcome.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep. So long as you are not where you want to be, don't sleep. Don't find yourself sleeping, yet you are not making money the next day. Yet there is nothing that's going to bring you money. Also, I know a lot of people encourage you to find people by law they can teach you, they can mentor you. You need to take some time alone.
As well.
Yes.
You need both.
You need both, but you need to learn to be independent, learn to read, learn to study, learn to learn. You learn as you go. You learn as you go.
Because even when you interact with other people, when you have developed yourself through readership, you're a different person.
Yes, you have something to contribute.
Yeah.
Like you can have a conversation in Mr. Mogobe productive. Yeah.
Now, of course, there's the issue of your future outlook in terms of what you are planning for the book and for your brand. Can you share with us what you are planning, the short to medium term as well as long term?
Yes.
Let's start short, medium, and long term.
Yes. This book, we are launching it next month. We are launching it next month. The dates are yet to be announced. We're going to be launching at Cresta Lodge. Like I had mentioned, I'm in partnership with Masiela Trust Fund and Bala Books. So Masiela Trust Fund will be getting money. That book launch, the tickets and all of that. We'll be raising funds also for Masiela Trust Fund, because it's an organization that is close to my heart. So as for my future, I'm a tech entrepreneur. I don't want to create the best tech in the world. I'm a leader. I want to teach young people that they can do it. I want to teach a lot of people that I grew up with or that I was in college with. They come to me for lessons. They pay me for consultation. Yes, just to consult them. Some of them, they have businesses. They want to do something. I help them curate digital strategies. They are my clients as well, because they can see the light in this young man. So I want to grow that, and also ke kgone go kopana le di mentora tse dingwe tse leng gore ba ta kgona go mpontsha lesedi go pele.
Yeah, yeah.
And probably
Well, we have mentorship programs if you're interested. We have one on entrepreneurship and one on real estate. If you're interested, we can talk more about this afterwards.
yes, definitely,
talk
I'm
to
really
more people.
interested in doing that.
Yeah. And then, of course, long term, I mean, 10 years, 20 years, what can we see in terms of Kitso Speaks?
Yes. Kitso Speaks is an international brand. I want to tell the stories of other presidents in the continent. Like I said, I'm defining myself as a presidential biographer. So, ke ra gore batho ba itse, people should know that this is your presidential biographer. So, if you're thinking about writing a book about any African president, come to me, let us sit down, give me your ideas, I'll put it down alongside with what I'll be writing. But that is the future. With my writing, I want to write about other presidents as well. Yes, because there are other leaders that I'm currently writing on. And you'll see those books being released. I'm not only writing about Botswana. Charity begins at home, of course.
Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur, I want to make digital solutions for big corporations across the world. Because I can
You started with this AI one. What is the next one? Or what do you foresee coming out in the long run?
I think right now we need to. The future is more AI. That's what my mind is always thinking about. How we can manage this beast, because it has its own good and it has its own bad. So, right now I'm currently focused on expanding my tech geniuses and teaching them and learning also as I go, and exposing them to the right people in terms of who can help them do what. And also we have communities internationally. We have Indians who are gurus, who are way ahead in terms of coding, who knows what is happening with AI, who are training AI models.
Yeah.
Because right now, computer jobs.
Are you working with those people?
Yes. Yes. So computer jobs, they are here. Like, people are no longer going to be hired as IT support, IT this. How we hear the AI expert, people who feed AI with information, people who train AI models.
Yeah.
So we have moved away from now saying,
I believe there's a new one called what, prompt specialist or prompt technician.
yeah,
Who prompts the AI?
who prompts the AI.
Yeah.
Imagine such jobs, and they are paying people a lot of money right now to do that. It's all started with OpenAI and Bo Elon Musk by sponsor. But right now you see that di lecture di alela go sekolong da re bana ba se thole ba ithuta ba mo chat GPT ela mo tsa potso tsara mo chat GPT o ha karabo ya chat GPT. So we need to be able to manage this also. Re khona go advise le government gore a regulate go gore khona go manage le gore bana ba ska nna lazy. AI doesn't mean that
It doesn't mean you shouldn't educate yourself.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
All right, now you have a question for me.
Yes. I want to ask you, Mr. Mogobe, if you were to become the president of Botswana, what would be the first thing that you would do? What would you change in the entrepreneurial scene? What would you do?
It's something I've thought about quite a bit, but I don't know whether I'm prepared to share it in a public forum. What I do think is that no effort should be spared towards developing entrepreneurship in the country. No effort should be spared towards teaching entrepreneurship. No effort should be spared towards turning us from consumers to producers. So my first act would be say, look, we want to create producers, not just consumers. So the educational system, the way everything is run, will be geared towards us producing, whether it's production of ideas, food production, and promoting not just food security. I think food security is well and good, but I like the idea of food sovereignty. Food sovereignty says food management and handling of food is as important as the army. It's as important as the fiscus. It's as important as the essence of the nation. In other words, we should do everything that is within our power to gear ourselves towards becoming at least self-sufficient in food production, to the point where, whether it means getting subsidies from government, but doing it in an organized way. So these are the issues that I think about. I think also training our technocrats to go from just knowledge absorption in general to become implementers. And there are courses, there are systems in place for how technocrats can be trained to implement, to be focused towards implementation as opposed to just knowledge acquisition. So these are some of the ideas, but in terms of a broader general approach and actual specific steps, let me not say it now. Let me not say it publicly.
No, I appreciate I really appreciate your answer. It's quite brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially the part where you answered my question in training this technocrats on implementation.
Yes.
That's the biggest challenge.
That's the biggest challenge that is there. It's the elephant in the room, but we're not doing anything about it. We just have a bunch of PhDs being promoted, but not being taught. This is how you implement.
Definitely.
These are the strategies. Every idea that is gathering dust on your shelves, this is how you implement it. Yeah, and they should be geared. They almost require brain transplant in terms of the way they think. Yeah, in terms of the orientation they should be having. Yeah, this country can just explode like this.
Definitely.
If we become implementers. Okay, over to you, sir, in terms of giving one last message to the viewer. You look at that camera there and give them one final message. Talk about the book, summarize what we are sharing.
To the viewer at home, I really appreciate everyone who's been giving me reviews on my book, because I've been meeting quite a lot of people as I was selling the book, and as some of them, they have my contacts. They've been sending me reviews saying, you know what, your book is flowing really well. I penned this book down in record time, and I want to encourage you, look, don't just sit down and say you don't have capital to start a business. Write a book or something on something. We don't have our history documented. We need more writers, we need more storytellers, and we need more bloggers. Come to Kitso Speaks, re go irela blog, o blog, o bue ka dithoughts tsa gago. Mo LinkedIn, mo re create LinkedIn out to a level where but they will pay attention to you. Re go brand. And one last message, I'm a reka book.
Okay. Share all your contacts.
Yes. Give it out to Kitso Speaks. Kitso Speaks in all my platforms. Kitso Speaks on Facebook. Kitso Speaks on LinkedIn. Kitso Speaks on Instagram. And my website, my web page is www.kitsospeaksglobal.com. www.kitsospeaksglobal.com. When you go in there, that is where you will see Kitso Speaks International. So that is where you'll find my packages if you want. And also my book is available. I'm in partnership with Bala Books, like I mentioned. Bala Books is selling my books. And if you want to buy the book, you can get it at Bala Books. And then contact me on 765775552 on my WhatsApp. Drop me a message. And then we can come and do a book signing, do pictures. And we can share a bit of your thoughts on what you think about the book and the new president. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
You're a good guest.
Thank you.
You did well.
Yes, thank you, sir.